Some people tried to advise you that maybe this wasn't the best time to go out, but you're like, no, I can go faster.
Correct.
That's true.
That's 100% correct.
And then what happened?
And then I crashed.
Decent start to the month, though. Good.
Well, I mean, decent.
Yeah. Maybe not the month, the on track, the oval month.
Yeah.
So far, so good. Last year was only your second Indy 500.
Yeah.
What expectations did you have coming into last season at the 500?
Not at all.
None.
Yeah, because I didn't finish in the first year, so
Right.
it was let's finish the race.
Right.
Didn't start good with qualifying, obviously. So at least I got that out of the way.
But so talk to me about that, because you'd already done a run.
Yeah.
You were in the top 9.
Yeah.
It was the heat of the day.
Yeah.
It's tougher to go quicker at that time of day, which I've heard, and this is why I want your take on it. I've heard some people tried to advise you that maybe this wasn't the best time to go out, but you're like, no, I can go faster.
Correct.
That's true.
That's 100% correct.
And then what happened?
And then I crashed. So the thing is, if you have a car that is capable of 7 and you're 7th, you're like,
I'm good.
I'm good, job done, I'll wait here. If we need to go out, we'll wait until the track is at best and we'll go out again. But if you have a car that is capable of 1, 2, 3 and you're 7th, it's a no-no.
So what did you think you were capable of? What did you think you had in the car?
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Front.
Maybe not 1. I think Scott had an advantage, Colton had an advantage. Like they were, I think, in another league. It was not a big difference, but
Right.
they had something.
Yeah.
But I was there fighting for 3rd, I felt. And being 7th, you are all day like panicking, like
Because it doesn't take much.
it just takes 3 guys
Yeah.
or 2, and then you try and go to the other lane or whatever. So I wanted to just like, okay, it's the heat of the day, but it's also less draggy as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let's do it, and it didn't go well. It didn't go well.
In hindsight, is that a good experience to have?
I think so. Now, yeah, not at that moment, obviously, I was like, man. But now, yeah. Now I know what not to do. So
I observed from the outside. I watched. I was so impressed with how you then got back in the car the next day and did what you did.
I had no other chance.
It was great. It just shows what you've got up here, right? And that's something I think we were already starting to see, and then now, you fast forward through the end of last season, everybody's well aware of what you've got up here. But for me, that was a moment of the season where I'm like, all right, he's got his stuff together. Like, he's not getting rattled by this when it would have been really easy to get a little rattled.
It's not easy. Well, you know, right? Like, it's not easy. Like, I think that the 4 laps after, like, the fast 9 laps, it was like the worst laps ever. I didn't know if the car was turning. If it was not turning, I didn't trust my body. You know, feel it on the body.
You felt like lied to almost when you have the accident.
Yes.
Like, you think you know what's happening, you think it's in control, and then just in that split second, it's gone.
Because I think it's different if you hit the inside or the outside, like it's just an issue that you have. But when you lose the grip, it's because you didn't feel it. Or you felt it, but you didn't trust yourself.
Right.
So then I went out again, and I didn't know if I had to trust myself or not. So yeah, it was not easy.
Did you like take a risk on the setup, or did you go pretty conservative? Did you go like when you went out for the fast
9?
So you'd gone out. You said your first time on Saturday. Your second time, you obviously tried to do something, trim more, free the car up, whatever. Didn't work. So for the fast 9, your next time in the car, you're qualifying in the fast 9. How conservative did you go with setup, or were you still like, we gotta go for it?
Not for Paul,
right?
But we were obviously. I think we qualified 6 or 7. So there's 2 or 3 drivers that didn't crash, and they were slower than us.
Right.
So yeah, we went aggressive, but not too aggressive.
Right.
So it was like, let's go aggressive, but you have
Let's-
everything under control.
Yeah.
I knew it was the bad thing that could happen was to be 9th, and if I felt a little bit, which I didn't know if I was gonna feel it or not, I would just box. So,
Because worst case scenario, 3rd row, not that bad.
It's good.
Yeah. And then the race itself.
Yeah.
Obviously, 500 is a long day, a lot going on. But let's just fast forward. did you realistically see yourself when you strapped in that morning to be with 20 laps to go in a head-to-head fight for the win of that race? Did you really believe that was a possibility?
I believe I had the tools to do it. I knew my guys were good at strategies, pit stops. I knew the car was capable because of, you know, the running we do, and you know if you can fight or not. I knew I could fight, but I didn't know how to do it. Like, I was starting 6th or 7th, and I didn't know so, like, how does it work here. It was my first time fighting for the race or for the top 10. So I felt I had the tools, but I didn't know how to do it. So
I asked you this once before. Knowing what you know now, having gone through that whole experience in the last 20 laps of the race here, which again, huge result. Huge congratulations to someone only in their second Indy 500 to go head-to-head with what is now a 4-time Indy 500 winner and put up the fight that you did. But now, if you were back there, lap 180, 185, knowing what you know now, the experience that you've had for the rest of that season, could you have done it?
It's so easy to say now when you know the result. It's like, I've done something, the result was second, you would change something and try.
But you're racing Helio Castroneves, who's won this race 4 times. At that time, 3 times. Do you think he's always going to have something up his sleeve? He's got 20 of these things under his
That's the
belt.
thing. Like, when you think that you catch something, like, okay, you're not going to do this again, but maybe he comes with another
something
thing.
else. Yeah.
Which I know what he did last year. I was just thinking about turn 1, then turn 2, then turn 3, then turn 4. I was not thinking one corner ahead. He was thinking one corner ahead. He saw the traffic. I didn't see the traffic. We were doing 223, 4 miles an hour. The rest of the guys we were catching, they were doing 200. So we were catching super quickly. I didn't see them. Obviously gave him just a little bit of toe. That was enough so I couldn't really get him, and I would lose a little bit of downforce, and that's it, game over.
Yeah.
But I think I knew that. I know that now. So I would change that, but he would come out with another thing, right? Like
some other trick.
Yeah, like, I don't know, whatever.
You don't know. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go back in time.
Yeah.
Having just, relived last year, but let's go all the way back. We've got a few pictures I want you to have a look at. I want to talk about them.
You're like prepared and stuff.
I have a great group, great team that's helping me prepare for this. So let's talk about how you got started.
Yeah.
Do you recognize that photo?
That's my dad.
That's your dad?
That's me.
Was he
No gloves.
No.
Do you see?
I didn't even notice that.
There.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That's brave. That's bravery right there.
I know.
Not afraid. So how old were you here?
I think I was like 5.
Is that your first go-kart? Is that your first?
I think it's the first that we bought like brand new.
Okay. So when did you start racing?
When racing, it was when I was 6, but on go-karts just doing laps, 5. My 5th birthday.
So you got a go-kart for your 5th birthday?
Yeah.
Was your dad a racer? Was he a driver of any kind?
No.
So how did he know you wanted to do this? Or did he? Was he just guessing?
No.
Every 5-year-old boy likes driving cars, right? So go for it.
No, so where I live, where my parents still live, there's still a rental go-kart track between my school and my house, so I would pass there every day, twice. Going to school, going back home, so you would see kids and just people doing laps, and I guess I wanted to do what other people was doing. So we went there when I was 4, so couldn't reach the pedals, obviously. So then they came together. Yeah. We tried, like we were there apparently, and I couldn't reach the pedals with those small go-karts. So yeah, for the 5th birthday, they got me a second really used go-kart.
And the go-kart was the track site was close to where your parents lived, where you grew up.
Yeah, yeah.
And where exactly did you grow up?
Near the Barcelona track.
Okay.
Yeah, like 10 minutes from there. Really small town. Not many people living there.
Right.
40 minutes from downtown, like in the mountains.
But it had a go-kart track. Could you imagine if you'd grown up in a place that didn't have a go-kart track in a small town? Do you think?
Yeah, I think I would do something else, right?
Really?
That's it's not like you grow up, like you born and you know, okay, I want to be a race car driver. It's because of the things you see.
But did you watch racing as a kid? Like
yes.
at 5 years old, were you watching Formula One races? Were you watching other races? Was your dad a race fan?
He was a normal race fan, like not a die-hard race fan going to all the races watching. I think he never went to any race tracks, so he was not that fan.
Not super.
He was just a normal guy enjoying cars.
So so if you didn't have that visual cue every day for all those years.
So also we had Barcelona track like 15 minutes from our house.
Okay, where
you could hear the Formula One from our house.
Really?
Yeah, you could. Like the V10, you could hear those cars from my house. So I guess I just
And that interested you, like you heard them, that made you excited.
I guess so.
Do you remember?
Don't really know.
Do you remember the first F1 race that you went to? Did you ever go to one?
No,
as a kid?
but I went, and I would go more than F1 races. We would go to winter testing that used to be in Barcelona.
Yeah.
And you could just pay like $10, stay there for 3 days, just walk around, and I would go after school with my dad. So he would pick me up at school in the afternoon, and we would go to the track and spend some time there.
That is so cool.
And I think we were doing that when I started racing.
Right. That would make sense. At that point then, it makes sense for you. His son's racing, take you to the racetrack.
Yeah, we enjoyed it.
So, did you have any like heroes when you started racing?
No, my favorite driver was Schumacher.
Okay.
He was when I grew up, he was on the Ferrari era. He was winning. So that was but he was not my hero. He was the guy I was cheering for.
Right, okay.
I don't think I had any hero when I was growing up. Now would be my dad.
Right.
Because of all we've done together.
For sure.
But no, when I was growing up.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, how much, obviously your parents are your biggest fans, right? They're your biggest supporters.
Yeah.
This sport is, I've had this conversation with a couple guys. We have to explain to people a lot of times that racing's a team sport, right? They don't understand the crew guys, the engineers, or whatever. But before that, like your first team is your family.
It is.
Because if it's not for them, you never get into a go-kart. You don't get to spend
to the second race. You don't. Yeah.
It's your dad was probably wrenching on the go-kart, changing the tires, filling up the gas. Yeah,
he was my mechanic for a lot of years. We couldn't afford a mechanic, so he was my mechanic.
Yeah. And that's such a fun time too, right? I remember growing up doing that with my dad. That kind of bonding. Are you and your parents very close?
Yeah, really close. With my dad and my mom. Obviously, with my dad, I don't know. We talk a bit more about racing. He understands a bit more. So yeah, we have a special connection with this.
Was he very active in your career when you got out of go-karts and into Formula cars? Like, was he around a lot? Was he managing you still, kind of?
He was managing me when I was in go-karting, not when I got my first, let's say, big go-kart teams. He was already like, that's your job, and I was like, man, I'm like 12. I need to talk to this guy, which is the boss of like CRT at that time, and I was like, what do you want me to say? And he was like, just you want to race and that's it, just go. And then when it was in single-seaters, he was around always, but he was never like...
He wasn't the dad with like the stopwatch at the side of the fence and yelling at you if you qualified fourth instead of first.
Maybe he was with the stopwatch, but he wouldn't tell me. So he would know everything, and he still does. Like he goes, he's here now at the speedway.
Is he staying for the race?
Yeah, absolutely. And he just stays around the box. And when I jump out, he looks at me and he's like, or he's like, oh.
Right.
And I know what he means, but he doesn't tell me like, hey, you need to like ISO turn 1 or stuff. But he would tell me like, hey, I saw that Dixon is really good on turn 2 and have a look at it and stuff like that. But he doesn't really get it.
Does your mom like racing, or does she like you racing? Like, does she follow you, or does she follow motorsports?
No, she doesn't like racing at all. She doesn't like. She obviously like she
watches your races.
Obviously,
knows what's happening.
Exactly, but she knows everything. But she doesn't like racing. Yeah. Like if we're at home on a Sunday and we put racing, she's like, racing. And actually, my first Indy 500 2020. We were staying at the motorhome together, and it's a long day. We were changing something big on the car, and I said, "Hey, mom, let's go to the pit box, to the pit lane, and you can see the cars, and she was like, oh, okay. So she spent like 2 days in the motorhome looking at the cars,
Right.
and you see 225 miles an hour, but she doesn't know how much miles an hour it's in kilometers.
Right.
So we went there, I took her there, she saw the cars flying by, it was like a group of 4 or 5 cars, and she was like,
All white. Just white.
and she was like,
That's what you do?
can we go back to the motorhome? And I was like, yeah, it's okay, don't worry. So yeah,
That's too funny. I know what you do. I support what you do. I don't want to see.
I don't
want to
see that
like
stuff.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we still talk about speeds and stuff, she's like,
she doesn't
Don't
want
tell
to
me.
hear
Yeah.
about it. That's too funny, man.
Yeah.
That's too funny. All right, I want to show you this picture, and tell me what that guy, what that was about. When did you meet him?
did you see my face?
Yeah, you don't look happy.
To be
You don't. You're standing next to Fernando Alonso, who at this point is probably already a world champion.
he is, yeah,
Okay.
at this point.
From first Spanish Formula One world champion.
I guess so,
I think
right?
so, maybe?
I think so.
Think so?
I don't know.
I'm not
Might
either.
be, I don't know. But yeah, so the thing is, this is a ceremony in the Spanish championship I won that year in
Okay.
one of my first Spanish championships. And they asked me when I was in stage, oh, so who's your F1 hero?
And you said Michael Schumacher.
And everybody was expecting Fernando Alonso.
Because just for point of reference, Fernando Alonso and Michael Schumacher were like bitter rivals.
So actually, they were like the rivals at that time, and I was like Michael Schumacher. So all the crowd went like, whoa,
Boo.
yeah, not boo, but they were. And then they put me there, and I was like, oh man,
This is awkward.
yeah. So I don't know why I have that. I think I had a pen. Maybe I was asking for something. I don't know.
And he was like, "Oh, you want me to get Michael to sign you something?"
So yeah.
So have you met him since? Like, do you guys?
Yeah. So I met him when I started single seaters, and then I met him at the Indy 500 2020. 2020. Not 20.
2019. You were here 19? Were you watching in 19?
He was here in 20.
Was it 2020?
With McLaren.
Maybe.
Yeah, he was.
Was it 20?
Yeah.
Okay. You know.
Yeah, like we were together, so it was
Okay.
2020.
Okay. Makes sense.
So yeah, Toko.
Did he reach out after your championship? Did he
Yeah.
give you a congrats?
Yeah, and actually I was had support from him and Kimoa last
cool.
year, and we have a good connection, so it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I have a lot of respect for him. I think it's honestly one of the best drivers ever. But not at the time.
It's nice. It's nice that that he sends you messages even though you're Schumacher.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't know.
Doesn't remember that.
Yeah, maybe not.
You might have to tell him that next time.
No,
like,
it's fine.
Hey
It's
man,
fine.
remember this picture where?
Maybe it's better not.
That's funny. You came into sport 2020.
Yeah.
Not the most direct path here.
No.
When you started racing, was F1 the goal? You
No.
got into junior categories, or
I
was
think
it
that
just?
was the dream, obviously. I think for every racing driver. But it was not the goal because I guess how my parents like made me grow. Like I realized that was not something I could achieve
Right.
just with, let's say, with normal conditions. Yeah, somebody could come and just like, hey, this is the seat, and it's like, wow. But it's not something you can pursue. Well, you can pursue, but maybe you get you start going down. And it was more like, hey, I want to be a professional race car driver.
Right.
I
Whatever
didn't
that
care,
means.
whatever.
Yeah. And so for you, that really happened in Japan, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that was I assume that was your first sort of like paying gig,
It was.
earning money, driving race
It was
cars.
amazing.
And a great experience, right?
It was insane. Yeah, I had a good time there, enjoyed a lot. And
How many seasons did you run there?
so I run one in F3, and then the next was Super Formula and Super GT.
Right. So Super Formula, high-powered open-wheel cars, kind of very similar to an IndyCar
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. Super GT, one of the top closed-cockpit GT car series in the world. Did you think doing both of those was a really good thing as a driver to be able to kind of drive two very high-level but very
Yeah.
different kinds of cars?
And it's actually super nice to go back and forth to another car, the other, and the way you drive. Obviously, with a GT or a Super Formula, it's totally different. And I thought it was great. Like I was doing 16 or 17 races a year, lots of tests. They have a steel tire manufacturer competition, so
Yeah.
you would do a lot of tire work, and you would go 3 days and have like, I don't know, 20 sets a day, so it was super fun, and yeah, I was happy.
How long? So you lived there for 2 years, or were you commuting back and forth?
The first year I was commuting a lot. The second year I was commuting as much as possible, but I was living there. Like I had an apartment.
How did you find living there? I mean, big culture shock. Yeah.
Which is good, but it's hard. And I was only 19 at that time, and I was like
On your own. And...
yeah, a lot of time on my own. My dad could come to some races, but not really. And time difference is big, so I would spend like majority of the day alone, not even able to call or stuff. And it's not like here you can just go to a restaurant, a bar, you can hang out with people, a coffee shop. There's no coffee shops.
Really?
Or the culture is not like...
that's not what you do.
Yeah, there's Starbucks, but they just take it and they don't stay there.
It's not for the enjoyment of it, it's to get your coffee and go.
And just go.
Yeah. Like, I feel like Spain, the Spanish probably more than anyone, they know how to take the time and enjoy
you have
a
time.
meal, a
Obviously,
coffee, a conversation.
The work is secondary.
Right.
The rest, how you enjoy life, it's the big thing. So to go to Japan, it was hard for me to, and then you go on a restaurant, you don't know how to choose the menu, right? And I was not like in Tokyo, I was
like by the shop.
Indianapolis. So.
Yeah. Like, what are you saying? Indianapolis isn't a bustling metropolis?
No,
like
but
Tokyo?
it's not like you go on a big downtown and you have lots to do. It's like
lots of options and a lot more maybe multicultural and easier for someone not from there to get along.
Exactly.
Okay, so then what was the culture shock moving to Indianapolis?
That was fine. I mean, I really liked to live in the US. I don't know the culture and the way people live here.
Had you been to the States much before?
Not really. No, I think I did 2 races, but that's it.
So we talked about kind of the family aspect and how important your family. Do you have siblings?
One sister.
Younger or older?
Younger. She's 13.
She's 13.
Oh, yeah, my parents were like really young when they had me. Maybe I was like,
like not planned.
Not planned.
There you go.
Not perfectly planned.
Right.
So then my sister was like planned.
Okay, so your sister maybe wasn't around for at least the first part of it, and didn't have to support you in that way. But there's someone in your life now that supports you in a big way.
Yeah.
So who do we have here?
My wife. She's my wife now.
And congratulations, fairly newly married.
Yeah, I am.
So you guys got married in the off season.
Yes.
Right? In Spain?
Yes.
She's from
Madrid, Spain.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you guys meet?
She was the PR person on our racing team.
Tale as old as time. You and Will Power, same deal.
It's the same thing?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
See?
Ed Carpenter's wife worked at the medical center here
at
Indianapolis Motor Speedway. She was a nurse, and that's how they met. So it's no shame in that.
I mean,
no shame in that.
That's what you do. You race, and that's it.
So, when did you guys meet? How old were you?
Pretty young. Like, we've been together now for like 6-7 years.
So when you were in Japan,
we were together.
You are together. So that's just another thing.
She didn't come to any race.
Yeah, of course. You're young, that age. That's not really something you do. So that just makes that even tougher.
It was.
But it's so cool that she was there with you through that time, right?
Yeah.
Through one of the hardest times of your life, being away from your friends.
Well, and actually that year we opened a coffee shop in Spain together. It was like super dramatic, right? Like we are not together, and here's the coffee shop that you're gonna run, and I'm in Japan. See ya.
You opened a coffee shop together at 19?
In 2019 or 18? I think it was 18. 18.
And so wait, how old were you?
I think 18 or 19.
What possessed you to open a coffee shop?
I saw my racing career was like not going well.
Okay.
And I was like getting
backup plan.
A bit of too much thinking about racing. It's when things go bad you overthink. And I was like, I need something to. And we needed something so we could spend more time together. Obviously, if you're the boss, you can just, of course, you're not working today. That's it. And that's what we did.
And is the coffee shop still running?
It's still running, but we sold it.
Okay. So how long did you own it?
3 years, almost 3 years. We sold it, we got married and we sold it.
That's too cool. That's too cool. Did she enjoy running it?
Yeah, at some parts, yeah.
But it was going
not when
smoothly.
things were not going smoothly.
Because that's just it. You're in Japan, you opened this, and
Yeah.
then you came here.
Yes.
The next year. So
Yeah.
it's not even like you went back to race in Europe and you could be a little more present
No.
in this new venture together.
I was not really, no. But sometimes after races I would just go there and spend time there and try and help. I'm not the big help guy, but I was there. Let's say I was there.
Emotional support.
Yeah.
You were a supervisor.
Yeah. If you say that, yeah. I was a supervisor.
So she's here with you now.
Yeah.
Do you guys spend winters here or you go back to Europe for winters?
So we just also like sold the apartment we had there in Spain, so now we don't have a house anymore.
So now you're kind of full-time.
We are here. But I think in
Visit
December,
family or
in
something.
December we will go
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
Just because it's super cold here for us, like it's crazy cold, and we have a lot of family there that
Right.
cannot travel here to
Yeah, of course.
races. So
Yeah, for holidays it makes sense.
Yes.
It's not cold here. You want to go cold? Well, I'll take you to Canada
no,
in
thank
January.
you. That's even worse.
No, it's great.
No.
We'll take you guys up to we got a cottage up in the woods. You're like buried in snow, the lake's frozen, you just sit by the fire. It's really nice.
Okay, if it's that lifestyle, I like
yeah,
it.
it's
But
all-
when it's super cold and it's not even snowing or it's
No,
only
yeah.
snowing a bit and
That's
it's super
what-
windy,
no,
you cannot do anything outside, I'm like, no.
That's what I don't like about here. Because
Okay.
it doesn't snow enough.
It doesn't snow enough.
Back home it snows enough, so it's cold, but you dress for it, the snow makes it nice, it's pretty, it's fun
Okay,
to
like
play in.
I like it.
We should do that. I'm going to break you into the cold a little bit.
But how cold is it?
-10?
Fahrenheit?
No.
Oh,
Celsius.
Celsius?
We speak real
Yeah, okay,
temperature.
yeah, I know. But I was like, Fahrenheit, that's... Yeah, but still, that's really cold.
You dress for it, it's fine. And you don't stay outside for long.
We'll see.
We'll
Maybe
see.
a weekend.
Yeah, long
Maybe
weekend.
just-
Well, yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
saying 2 weeks or anything. Long
Okay.
weekend, come hang out. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Does Esther enjoy racing?
Yeah.
Was she a fan of it because she worked
Yeah,
in it?
she worked on it and she wanted to work on it because she was a fan, so...
Oh, that's cool. So
Yeah.
she found a way to get into the sport because she was a fan of the
liked it.
sport.
Yeah.
Is it in her family? Or anyone
I think her
family?
dad, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
As a fan, or did he ever race? Or?
I think it's a fan.
Yeah. So she knows what's going on.
Yeah, she knows. She knows.
And without support from the people around you, this doesn't happen, right?
Yeah, that's a cool picture, man. I like it.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
I bet you do.
Yeah, I mean, without, it's, as you said, it's a team sport. It's not like I've done it alone, so, yeah. A lot of people around to try and make this struggle.
Is it funny to look at this and, just hearing you talk a few years before, so this is 2021, and you're saying that in 2018, 2019, you're like, man, I don't know if my career's going to work out. I need to get a business outside of it. I need a job.
Yeah.
And 2 years later, this is what you're doing. You're at the top of the sport.
It's crazy, right? Yeah, racing life changes so quickly, just like you never know. So yeah, to be honest, it's true. I thought that was gonna like stop or it was not going well, and now yeah. But yeah, I went to Japan on a really small team, and I was like, I don't know if that's gonna work. It worked. Then I came here with a small team, and I don't know if it's gonna work. And then got the opportunity with one of the biggest teams with the best teammates, and we made it.
I do want to know when the first conversation with Chip Ganassi Racing happened. When did they come to you and say, I think you're our guy?
I don't want to lie, I think it was after the Indy 500 qualifying. I think we went into the Fast 9 with Del Coyne.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first, hey. And I stopped him at the motorhome lot, and I was like, hey Chip, I'm Alex, like I'm driving IndyCars, like, because we've done only
You might
like
not
4
realize
races.
I'm up there as well sometimes.
Yeah, I'm a bit at the back, but I also race cars, and yeah, so that's how it all started.
That's so cool. And so yeah, like you say, you join this team, and you have Scott Dixon as your team.
Yeah.
You have Marcus Ericsson, who's got a bunch of Formula One experience. Later learned Jimmy Johnson's going to be involved with an entirely different scope of experience.
Yeah.
But I look back at your 2021 season, and I see a lot of traits that remind me of Scott Dixon. And there's a reason Scott Dixon's been this successful in IndyCar racing. And I think there's a lot of similar reasons why you've been so successful in your relatively short time. How much of that was just, that's Alex Palou, that's who you've always been, and how much of it was you learning from a guy like Scott?
I don't think I learned the way he would take a championship of races, like saying not going that extra to the limit when you have a really good result already. I think that I was
just,
already.
That's your nature.
Yeah, I think I was already that before my single-seater or my karting career. But I learned a lot from him on how to race, how to drive faster, how to manage the races and stuff, and I'm still learning today. So it's a cool experience.
Yeah, I mean it's the best guy of this generation to learn from.
Yes.
Is there one specific like piece of advice or memory you guys were chatting and he said something to you that's just stuck with you ever since? Not like, hey, at Mid Ohio, try this, whatever, but like one sort of just overall piece of advice or something that maybe he doesn't even realize it was as influential.
Yeah, but
I'm
not gonna say. Obviously,
but there is something.
Oh yeah, it was about fuel saving. So.
Okay. So he just said something and it was just like, wow.
Yes.
That's cool, because he's known as like the fuel-saving king.
And he is.
And he is.
It is. Like you go out sometimes on the warm-up, you do like 3.6 miles per gallon, and you're like, yeah let's see what you did.
Yeah.
And he's like 3.95, and you're like,
in the same lap time?
Oh yeah, obviously. And you're like, how? Like, no,
not possible.
And it still happens.
Really?
Yeah.
So he's still got the edge there.
He does. He knows how to do it and still go fast. That's the thing. Like, I think everybody knows how to do it, but to do it fast, it's not easy.
Yeah. That's the big thing. You can hit the number all day long, but if the lap time sucks,
then you just go like slower. So yeah, fuel saving.
How would you rate your 21 season up to this point?
21 or 22?
Sorry, 2022.
I would say that it was a 9 until last weekend.
Right.
And I would say after last weekend, it's not a 9 anymore. It's a 6. It goes down to
6.
Obviously.
One mistake.
There's mistakes and there's mistakes.
Right.
And that's the second mistake. So
that's the kind of mistake you can't forgive, you don't enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those races that I know I'm going to look back at the end of the season and be like, but at the same time, it was tricky conditions.
I mean,
you're fighting. I was not like P24, which there's no issues on being there, but it's not the same when you're fighting for the race and you make a mistake because you're pushing it, or when you're lost. So I think I did a mistake. I got a little bit unlucky also. Like I was on the grass.
Yeah.
Man, I couldn't get out of there.
Yeah.
I started going out and I started spinning here, there, because it was all wet. I had slicks. Started using my clutch to get out, because as soon as I would go on throttle, I would start spinning.
Right.
So I was using the clutch, went to the tarmac, grip,
stalled,
and it stalled because I had like no more clutch. So anyway,
you live, you learn, right?
Yeah.
You live, you learn. There's one last thing we want to do here.
Yeah.
We've been having drivers bring helmets to just kind of have on display. Yours has not been on display yet because I remember back in 2020.
Yeah.
Very early in your IndyCar career, I think I remember the story. I'm not sure if you do or not. So if I'm getting it wrong, you remember, interject. I had a picture of a bunch of helmets that I had laid out as helmets I was going to trade. That's what I like to do. I like to trade helmets with other drivers. And I think I jokingly like put it up and said, hey, anybody want to trade? And you were the first guy to reply. And you're like, I'd like one of those. And I said, deal, buddy, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so it's taken a little minute, but here we are now.
We did it.
And we're going to do it. So let's unveil the helmet.
Okay.
And show me what you got.
We got a helmet from 2020 because of Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
I had to trade the one from last year with him.
Of course.
And here's the one. It's the same design.
Yeah.
It's just...
Tell me about your design.
So I started this design really early. Let's say the kind of colors and design it was because my dad, he cannot see really big colors.
Okay.
Yeah. So he needed something to
identify you
on go-karts.
Right on the go-kart track.
So the colors is because of my dad.
That's so
That's
cool.
the thing, and now I love them. But
Yeah,
at that time, I was like, okay, yeah, if you want blue or yellow, whatever. And then the design evolved and it's still evolving there. You know, every year we do a small stuff, but it's the same basic design. I don't know. I like it to have always the team here,
Yeah.
or the manufacturer,
Yeah.
and there's not much else to it. Like
Did you kind of scribble and design, or did you take it to a helmet painter and say, I want these colors, give me something?
Yes, I did like 2 or 3 lines, but not
everything.
50 something and like small details. So if I don't have a picture, but one of my first helmets already had like this part, but it had nothing else, and then we started adding every year.
Yeah.
And now I'm going back to like taking it a bit more
A little
simple.
simpler, yeah.
But yeah,
You like the idea of keeping it pretty much the same though, so
yes.
your design is
It's like
easily
yours,
identifiable.
you know.
Yeah.
Even if also for the 500, I always change the colors and I do special stuff. But if you know my helmet, you know it's mine. Yeah.
That's Alex's
And it's
helmet.
like if you change your colors completely,
Yeah.
you know it's inches helmet. So yeah,
Very cool. Well, hey, buddy, I'm glad that we finally got that
Me too.
done. Really appreciate it. It's
Thank
going to
you.
be up on the bookcase across from Eddie. How many IndyCar drivers have you swapped with?
Jimmy Johnson,
Look at that. Look
You.
at that. The man.
not IndyCar, ever.
I
You're
love
the
it.
second guy.
I love it.
Yeah,
And I mean, technically,
you are the
agreed to it
first. Yes, but you know the
Should
issue
we?
I had. You know the issue I had that I didn't have enough helmets, and I was like,
For
I
sure.
cannot give
For sure.
him 1 helmet if I only have like 2.
No, I know.
But yeah, now
I decided I wanted it one day, so here we go.
yeah,
Very proud to add that one to the collection.
yeah. I need a Sharpie.
Yeah, we'll get that. We'll
Okay.
sign it, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming out.
No, thank you. It was fun.
Oh, great.